Welcome back to Soccer Card United. It's episode 222 of the greatest soccer card podcast in the world. My name is Jason. That's Enzo. Hi, Enzo.
Hello, Jason.
You've been outside today. It's hot.
Oh, it's a beautiful day in Dublin. It's set to be a wonderful week, I believe.
Oh wow, that'd be good.
Yeah, or at least weekend.
So you may see us on our next podcast with maybe a little bit of sunburn, a little kind of a tint.
Yeah, a sun-kissed bit of a skin. There you go.
Yeah, wow, unbelievable. This is probably one of the biggest pieces of news on this podcast that we can talk about, that we've talked about in a long time. And there's no better man to take us through at least the introduction to it than Rich Mueller at Sports Collectors Daily, who was on this coverage. And let me just show you here now. I'll tell you this is such a big story that we're actually going to look at how multiple outlets reported it.
Okay, I like that.
Because no one entity can do it.
Yeah, wow.
So this is Rich's headline in sportscollectorsdaily.com. Premier League trading card and sticker license moving to Fanatics in 2025. 5 years after losing the license to Panini, Fanatics has regained the license to produce cards and stickers for the Premier League, the world's top pro soccer organization. Panini's current deal with the league runs through May of 2025, and Fanatics will add to its ownership of the Topps brand, along with future licensing deals to the NBA and NFL, UFC and F1. Fanatics/Topps currently has the right and sport licenses to Bundesliga and UEFA club competitions. Wow. So, Enzo, breaking news.
Absolutely.
Topps are regaining the Premier League. How do you feel?
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to know what to feel, Jason. I don't know what I'm excited, or I don't know if I'm excited, if I'm mourning. I don't know what the mix is. I'm trying to think of how I felt about the Premier League releases under Panini.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only thing I'll miss is probably Select.
Right.
I don't think
that's
Impeccable.
That's relatively new.
Yeah, Impeccable, Immaculate. They're all right, but they were kind of, I don't know, not for me. And Prism wasn't wonderful.
Right.
But it's weird. It's weird to see it. Like, to be honest, I kind of like that Panini hadn't really been touched in the soccer realm. Like, there was so much kind of moving parts in the hobby. But from a soccer point of view, it was kind of staying the same. Obviously, the Euros was the first real change we've seen.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of a gun ho. It makes sense. It's not unprecedented. Like, we kind of predicted it almost, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I don't know how to feel.
Here in Rich's article that Panini was the high bidder for the same contract in 2018 and began producing products for the following season. The two renewed their license just 3 years ago, but the Premier League opted to return to Topps, which was purchased by Fanatics in January 2022. Because certainly when we were growing up, Match Attacks and such, that was a Topps brand, and that was very much the Premier League staple. So this is almost Topps coming in and reclaiming their throne, but definitely a sign of a shift in power for sure.
Yeah, I think when Panini lost the NBA license and the NFL and everything else that they've lost so far, they definitely knew, like, one of the things, they've been acquiring new things, live golf and stuff like that. But one of the things, I'm sure their strategy would have been, okay, let's acquire stuff and also let's protect what we still have. So it's safe to assume Panini made various attempts to renew this license, extend this license with the Premier League, and it just seems that, like, you can't even be defensive. It's not even a case of, like, they got one over on you. I think it's just a case of you cannot compete in a negotiation. You can't compete financially, maybe. You can't compete in what's being offered. And it's just like, they're kind of just there. They're sitting eggs. You know, they're sitting, I don't even know.
Sitting ducks, I think is the
Sitting
word.
ducks. That's it. Yeah. But they're sitting eggs. A duck can try to get away. An egg can't. That's it. That's my analogy.
Sitting duck is because the duck is sitting on her eggs, which she can't abandon. That's why you're sitting duck.
Yeah, but imagine if there was no egg. Imagine how troublesome that would be if it was just an egg with no duck.
Yeah, but with the duck, but the sitting, it doesn't matter, right? So, I think you've hit on something there, which is the inability of Panini to compete on this stuff, and it's that fact is betrayed by someone called Will Brass, who is the Premier League's chief commercial officer, who said, in light of this announcement, we are delighted to welcome Fanatics as the official sticker and trading card licensee of the Premier League from 25-26. They bring an outstanding track record and strong commitment to innovation, helping fans all over the world express their passion for the sports they love. Through this partnership, we'll be able to create a truly memorable collectible experience for all. The key point there is that he did not say we are thrilled to welcome Topps back to the Premier League. He said we are thrilled to welcome Fanatics as the official sticker and trading card licensee. That is game, set, match, I think.
You think it's the Fanatics brand power, the Fanatics? I mean, it's huge. Yeah, you can't touch it, basically. Do you think they go for more? Like, I think the Premier League, it's not so much trying to kill Panini. It's more so it's one of the biggest commercial leagues in the world, so you want to have it if you're Fanatics.
You'd want to have it regardless of who else had it. I think also, like it mentions at the end of this article on Sports Collectors Daily, that Fanatics Commerce also holds e-commerce and licensed apparel partnerships with the FA, who of course are not the same organization as the Premier League, but a sister organization, and a number of Premier League clubs. I think it's like where Panini are trying to compete with Topps, but Topps is no longer just Topps. Topps has its big brother, Fanatics. And so when you're making the choice, you're like, do I want to enter into another contract with this card manufacturer, or do I want to enter into the contract with the officially licensed everything people? And I think that's like really hard to argue it.
100%. I agree. I think it's like, well, they do various jerseys, kits, memorabilia, whatever the case may be, and they also do cards. And it's Michael Rubin. It's a name. It's an organization that has so many, I don't know, pins on their badge. I don't know. They have so many feathers in their cap, Jason.
Yeah,
and it's just
so many notches on their bedpost.
That's it. They just have it all, and it looks like it's like they can't be stopped. And that's the thing. Like, Fanatics are in growth mode still. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're not a company that's like, right, we have all these overheads, let's produce it as much as we can and make this money. They're still like, let's keep spending multi-millions to keep growing this with a long-term aspiration or an IPO aspiration. I don't really know, but the point is, they're still on the offensive. That's the way to say it. Fanatics are still on the offensive.
They haven't taken their foot off the gas.
No.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, the Premier League as well, the way that works is that it's not a kind of top-down organization. It is a group of clubs. When you're in the Premier League, you have a voting right as a Premier League club. And Topps and Fanatics have gone and built partnerships with Arsenal, City, Liverpool, Chelsea. So there's already, like, when it comes up at the Premier League, chairperson's meeting or whatever it is, or owners meeting, to say, listen, we're thinking about moving away from Panini for the cards and going to Topps. I mean, there's 4 clubs who instantly go like, yeah, we work with them. Yeah, they're good. Who did Panini go out and get any team licenses for the Premier League clubs while they had the license? Not as far as I know.
No, Eintracht Frankfurt.
So it's like when you need Eintracht Frankfurt. So it's like when you need friends at the table, you've thought, well, I get to make Chelsea cards and Arsenal cards and Liverpool cards and Man City cards in my Premier League license. Why would I also give them money for the individual club license? And now we're seeing the benefit to kind of like the use of kind of like of capital to grow and grow and grow and pound your enemies into the dust. The new kid on the block, Collect Media, who or whatever.
I'd rather not even say their name, Jason, to be honest, at the moment,
because of.
But just, I do think that, like, they've entered the game in a very weird space. There's a lot of kind of criticism being kind of marked at them for kind of being a bit biased towards Fanatics. There's also the F1 thing that they did, so they're kind of either
Darren Ravel's hit piece on F1.
Yeah, that was either a kind of an outrage marketing thing just to get people talking. That's why I don't even want to talk about it that much. Or it was absolute ignorance and just stupid. So it's like, I don't know. I feel like as a hobby, we're very welcoming. Anytime something new is happening, so like, Collect Me, we're going to get a media organization, and it's like, we're like, let's get that in, let's actually appreciate it. But I'd rather give kind of credence to, of course, Sports Collectors Daily, and I'd like to be more critical towards these boys based on the early knockings of what they've been doing. In my opinion, I don't know if you share that, but that's what.
Well, the reason they're here is because they have quotes from David Liner from Fanatics Collectibles and Topps, which no one else had. So they're doing good reporting on this story in particular. So yeah, this basically just same story. And then David Liner, who is the Fanatics Collectibles president of trading cards, says, this is a big deal for us. Look at this. Also, just says here, prior to Panini America's deal, Topps was an official partner of Premier League from 1994 to 2019.
Yeah, because that's where it's like Fanatics bought heritage. Do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, people want to go, oh, they're after stealing this. It's like, no, like, Panini actually swooped in 2019 and stole it, and now they're getting it back.
Now they're stealing it back, yeah. So David Liner says, this is a big deal for us. On a global basis, you have arguably the top domestic league in football in the Premier League, some of the top tier clubs, top tier players in the world. So this is absolutely massive. So, according to Liner, Fanatics Collectibles made adding the Premier League its top priority when the rights became available and a deal quickly came together. So he said, as we've been looking at our overall football portfolio, one of the jewels out there that's been missing is the Premier League. And when the rights came up for tender, we took a very hard, very serious look at this. We looked at the current market. We felt there were some gaps and holes, and we felt Fanatics Collectibles could really come in and help build the Premier League brand, drive innovation, drive marketing, drive athlete partnerships, and deploy some of the playbook we've been successfully deploying.
Some inscription autographs, Jason. Let's go.
Let's go. The amount of innovation we've been driving in the last couple of years is just kind of unparalleled, said Liner.
I love that. That's it.
Yeah,
that's
beating your chest. Yeah,
absolutely. They're saying I mean, it's fair though. They're kind of like they have done all this innovative stuff, and it's not even necessarily that they're brilliant. It's that prior to this, the companies weren't doing it. Topps, Fanatics, and also Panini. They're just kind of like resting on their laurels and printing their bits.
Yep, and this is relevant to us here as well. It's fair to expect the ultra popular Topps Chrome set. A key release the last time Topps had the rights to return as a major product. Stickers have yet to take off in North America, though they have a long history in South America and Europe. Topps views the Premier League as a way to build the sports card hobby abroad, and sticker sets and trading card games could be key components. So David Liner said, I think you're going to see a massive amount of continued growth in Europe and the same thing in Latin America, which is still very sticker focused. I think we're seeing a burgeoning business there on the trading card game and trading card side. And again, I think soccer still has yet to have its day in North America. Messi coming to the MLS is helping raise the bar. The World Cup coming here is going to raise that bar. But the properties like the Premier League are, I think, always going to be the crown jewel in global football.
That's like, honestly, we could have more articulate maybe than us, but we verbatim say that on the podcast as well. You know, the growth in Europe, Messi going to the MLS, obviously the World Cup. Like it's good to hear kind of one of the heads of Fanatics Collectibles kind of pointing that out as well and saying how soccer is a growth market in Latin America and Europe, and that's where we're going to push growth in the hobby as well using those. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's also interesting just that he mentioned there that when the rights for the Premier League came up for tender. So like, you know, remember when Fanatics bought the MLB rights in kind of like secret negotiations away from Topps. This, according to what we're hearing in this interview, it was not the case. The Premier League was just renewing their license.
And it was up for tender.
And Fanatics, you know, kind of like made obviously a bigger or better offer. Do you think if you were running Panini, do you think you'd kind of put it all on the line to make sure you didn't lose the Premier League license, or would you know, let them take it and kind of, you know, tactical retreat and just try and keep dodging and weaving?
It's a tough one. I mean, I suppose the only way you can really answer that is based on whatever Panini's kind of financial statements look like for the Premier League.
You'd have to know what I mean?
They'd probably look at it and go, the license cost this, we make X, and then meanwhile Fanatics have blown us out of the water by willing to spend Y. That is a way above where even makes sense. So they might have actually just been financially taken out of it. And also, obviously, losing the NBA license, losing the NFL license, they're thinking our revenue's about to come down.
Their future earnings are down.
Now is not the time to go all out into a battle to try and retain a Premier League, especially if potentially it wasn't as lucrative. The maths probably didn't maths, but I think even if they had the money, I don't think they would have been able to secure it. I think Fanatics are too strong. It's Thanos, Jason. You can't stop it.
Yeah. I mean, like the reaction from collectors was mixed. Some people, you know, saying, well, this is going to make a Premier League product. There are going to be more Premier League products. They're going to be more accessible, as Topps tend to have, you know, a lot more kind of different. Not that Panini Premier League products is inaccessible.
Yeah.
But then a lot of people as well kind of having nostalgia, you know, kind of preemptive nostalgia for the Panini cards. I do think that you mentioned Thanos there, and like I'm sure all of our listeners and viewers are familiar with the dynamics of the MCU and the Marvel comics, but I do think this is like a further slightly worrying thing, which is like, to a certain extent in an industry like ours, you do want a balance of power. And you know, it's like one of those things where it's like, just because the person running the monopoly at the moment seems to be making the right moves doesn't mean that monopolies or effective monopolies or potential monopolies or whatever the legal, you know, way of saying it is, are in themselves acceptable. You know, like it just seems like now we have UEFA Euros, and the Premier League.
Don't leave the Bundesliga out.
And the Bundesliga. You know, Panini are left with what?
Serie A, La
Spain.
Liga, France, which they refuse to use.
They won't use France. So Spain, Italy, and FIFA. And then other club licenses and stuff that they put in Donruss and other country licenses like the ones that aren't into the Topps Euro stuff.
Yeah, but there's stuff. We know that. There's stuff to get. There is still stuff to get for them.
Yeah.
Like Premier League, to be honest, I know what you're saying, and you're right. You're right to a point, but it's like I don't really. Like Jason, you're not going to get Wayne Bridge autographs anytime soon. Put it that way. Except in your World Cup product, you might pop up. Do you know what I mean? It's like Panini are not like. I think, to be honest, I think the Premier League license has been a bit dead for a while. Last year was good, Select was good, but like I think Topps have an opportunity to actually enrich the product. Whether they do or not is a different matter. But I also think that even Panini, like both of the companies, have kind of done a better job of kind of signing up legends, which is necessary for a Premier League product, right? If you have legendary autos and cards and stuff like that, it's going to help it a lot because as we've seen, there's not a lot of rookies year on year in the Premier League because mostly they buy them in from other leagues. But it's like Topps have an opportunity, whether they take it or not, because it's such a big thing. There might be huge print runs. It might be a non-valuable product. It is what it is. But on the flip side, they could actually make a few good products with that license that Panini haven't really done recently, apart from Select. And obviously, the big issue with Select last year was everything wasn't player worn or whatever. I think Panini's move is to get the French league going. And it's funny because Mbappe has just left, so it's going to leave. So it's going to be a bit stupid that they kind of missed that, but it doesn't really matter. I don't think. I still think it's a strong league to have, unique, different. Again, as you said, Jason, last week, it's like do things the Topps can't do. And like creating cards for every team in the French league, Topps can't do it, and kind of creating a product maybe that has a smaller print run because you don't want to go crazy, but then that's going to help the consumer like it more because there's less of it going around. And obviously the likes of the Portuguese league or the Dutch league or whatever, like do a bit of that, mix it in, and use the FIFA license more if possible, because that's a license that gives you the opportunity to make Man City cards, etc., etc. So it's like you can still kind of stay in the game a bit if you can use that FIFA license more.
Yeah, I agree. I do think as Fanatics grow and take over more of the market, the incentive for them to impress us and for innovate obviously goes down. You know, everyone is like, it's, you know, as David Lerner said in those quotes, they have been kind of doing an unparalleled level of innovation and of like, you know, product enrichment and new ideas and all that stuff because they are in that growth phase.
Yeah, but Jason,
the question is what happens next?
Yeah, but like think about this, right? Adding the likes of inscription autographs, right? I think in Bowman, like they're one of 150 autographs. The number one of it, players are writing my first Bowman autograph, whatever. Whether you like that or not, it is what it is. What I'm saying is, that's great. But it's like how much, like if you employed a team of 10 people, they could come up with that, if you know what I mean. Like that level of innovation won't necessarily disappear because if you have a few people employed, but it's your job this year to make something better. It feels like companies didn't really have that necessarily. To a degree. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like a lot of the things that are being done.
Yeah.
It's like it doesn't take an absolute set of geniuses to do it, and yet it is enriching the product. I know what you're saying, after a while it might be harder to think of new things.
No, it's like, not even just that the innovation will slow down naturally because that's what happens when as companies, you know,
enter and innovate,
dominate the market. But also just stuff like, you know, print runs, product quality, all that stuff, you know, customer service, you know, like for instance, there's a massive incentive right now to get this redemption thing sorted. Easy win.
Yeah.
You know, in a few years' time, when you are all conquering and you are all powerful. At that point, if somebody gives you grief about redemptions, you go, well, who else are you going to go to?
Yeah, sure.
You know, so
I think product quality is the biggest kind of concern you can have with one company having too much power. Because I think it's too easy to say, right, we could really easily up our margins by just cutting corners on quality here, here, and here. Let's just do that. I think that's the easiest thing to do. And I think we've seen that in a few products this year. Whether it's, I think,
and I think that's been a criticism of Fanatics generally on the merchandise side as well.
Yeah, so that's the big issue. Like I think F1 Chrome, the Chrome stock wasn't wonderful. I think Black Chrome Star Wars was similar compared to last year. There wasn't, you couldn't. We've seen that a lot though. There seems to be a huge variance in Chrome stock because the likes of like Topps Chrome Disney was wonderful. Topps Chrome Bundesliga a few years ago was wonderful.
Yeah,
I don't know how much of a financial difference those manufacturing operations that stock is, but if it's not too crazy, I don't know how there's such a variance, if you know what I mean. But yeah, that would be
Yeah.
the biggest concern I would have is quality, and like not even, I don't even mean quality in terms of the print run is so high so the quality is bad. I mean literal the
The
raw
actual
materials
manufacturing
going into
quality.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Let me see. Just a few comments on our.
But like Premier League, Jason, like is that not also just for top? If you try to, I suppose it's hard to look at it in a non-monopolistic way or whatever. They like Fanatics. It's almost hard to rejoice and enjoy Topps getting the Premier League license without just feeling bad for Panini on the ground with blood leaking out of its skull. But it's like Topps Chrome Premier League. I think I'd be more excited for that than Prism Premier League.
I suppose. I suppose the thing is, if in a situation where you have Topps Chrome Premier League and you have UEFA Club Competitions Chrome,
yeah,
it's like whereas in
if it's on the same design as well, it's going to be like, ugh.
It's on the same design, and we come back to this. We probably mentioned this once every 4 podcasts, but like, NBA and basketball are synonymous. NFL and basketball are synonymous. MLB and baseball are synonymous when it comes to Topps. Soccer, you can make like 6 different Topps Chrome soccer products in a year if you have all the licenses. At that point, does that begin to not even devalue the licenses, but devalue the idea of Topps Chrome, because there's Topps Chrome over here, there's Topps Chrome over here, there's not that many collectors.
Yeah, it's like which one is the Topps Chrome rookie if you appeared in both?
Yeah.
Kind of the
I mean, look,
Haaland
these
one,
are all, I'm sure, things they've thought about. I'm just saying it's
interesting. Like, I mean, it's different.
Yeah.
It's hard to really know how to, because it feels like the first time. I know Euros obviously happened and that was a disaster because of the licensing. But it's like, it does feel like, and Euros is once every 4 years, so it is what it is. But like, it does feel like this is the first Fanatics swooping in on soccer and focusing on soccer, and it is a bit like we're involved now. Like, when everything else was happening, it was kind of like, look what's happening over there. Like, people are losing their Prism NBA, but they're getting the Topps Chrome NBA, and are they happy? Are they not? I don't know. But like now, it's like they've done it to Premier League. But I suppose I don't know. I don't know how I feel, Jason. I don't know how it feels. Like Premier League Prism was its own thing. Yeah. But like, do you think that could help hobby growth in Ireland, considering that the Premier League is kind of one of the easiest things to sell here because everyone supports Premier League clubs for the most part? And now we could potentially see a bigger volume of Premier League accessible products. That because Europe, like Panini in Europe, were just ramping up, getting product into the hands of Europeans, whereas Topps have done a better job at that recently in the last 3-4 years. So it's like you would imagine Topps Chrome, if they could produce it next year, like Topps Chrome Premier League, I think Irish people would have a much easier time buying a box of that than they would a box of Prism.
In terms of its availability.
Yeah. Potentially.
Yeah, I suppose so, yeah. The question is always price point. I mean, like, because as we said, like Premier League Prism's not difficult to buy.
It's just expensive.
And again, going back to, as the competition gets less and less fierce, the incentive to keep prices low. If you outbid Panini, I'm not saying I've absolutely no knowledge, and there was no numbers announced or anything with this deal. But let's say you know Panini offer 10 million and you say 40 million for the license, then you can't just eat the 30 million.
Yeah, you have to make that money.
You have to make the money. These licenses aren't free, so like,
if you have a license for 4 years,
not just to kill Panini, they're buying the license to make money on the license. So it's not going to be like we go from Panini Prism and all their configurations to its boxes Topps Chrome for £100 for everybody whenever you want them.
Yeah, true. Like, it's like, that's a very true point in saying that, like, if Panini potentially did go hand over fist to try and keep the license, have Fanatics now kind of overpaid to a point where collectors are going to experience that because they need to recoup what they overpaid.
Yeah, maybe, and we're only going to find that out in 2025.
Yeah, unless people start announcing figures. Like, if a figure came out, but yeah, it's so different because like the value of the license would have grown so much this year compared to what it was when Panini got it in 2019, purely based on how the hobby has grown. As much as people want to say it's in free fall and soccer is in the bin and all this, it's like, yeah, the license was worth X million back in 2019, but now with this hobby growth and how many hobby boxes are being sold, etc., the value of this is much higher.
Yeah, look how much of Topps Chrome 2018-19 Premier League and Panini Prism 2019-20 was made compared to how much 23-24 Prism was made.
Yeah. Like, Panini probably did very well on that license, having bought it in 2019 just before the big boom, and they can make Premier League throughout the entire boom and thereafter. So, yeah, interesting.
So, very interesting. We live in interesting times.
But this is something actually, Jason. Here's one for you. Do you think
Yeah.
next season's Panini Prism is going to be printed to the moon because they need to walk away? Like they're walking away. So it's like it's a mixed thing. It's like, do you shit the bed and kind of damage the Prism brand and other brands that you have and just print money as you walk off, knowing you don't need to sell Premier League the next year, or do you make a rich product to kind of almost set Tops up for more failure in that regard? Because it's like if you make a short print run, high quality product, and then the following year Tops are trying to recoup what they've spent on the license, and they're kind of printing loads and lower quality, and then getting kind of backlash. Like, what way do you do it if you're Panini? I mean, they're Italian.
Yeah, they are Italian, so whatever way they do, it's going to be vindictive. But I think maybe we said this on the last show, but I think Panini's like strategy here should be everybody loves an underdog. And no matter how hated and resented you are, and no matter how everyone, there are always going to be some people who have like an unbearable, grudge against you because they, you didn't give them the redemption back for 3 years or something. They can never forgive you for that. But like, people love an underdog. And as soon as Fanatics start winning and Panini start losing, all of a sudden we're just naturally drawn, just as people, to the idea of Panini as some sort of like beloved national treasure who has to be, no pun intended, who has to be preserved. So if I was Panini, I would just be using all this to recuperate rehabilitate my image and go from like, we are the rightful king of the hobby. We never did anything bad to you. We're like, now of course when they were in power, they did loads of stuff that was questionable, loads of stuff that was unhealthy for the hobby.
Nostalgia, sunglasses on kind of vibe. Yeah, I've seen a lot of that, to be honest.
People who if it was the other way around would be saying it the other way around, just because it's fun to root against the overlord and for the underdog.
Yeah, it's fun to want Manchester City to lose a game of ball.
Yeah.
It's fun watching Bayern Munich not win the league. It's brilliant. It's that kind of a vibe. I understand it fully, and I agree.
So,
it's a funky one. I think, because that's like, do you warn people against Prism next year or Panini product next year a little bit for Premier League? Because like they might say, we're making money on this last year of the license, we're going crazy. But then, I don't know. I suppose we're all merely, entertaining the hobby at the level that we're all at. All of this is above our pay grade, is what I'm trying to say. Like, there's huge corporations way above all of us that are making mad stuff. And at the end of the day, all we can say is Topps Chrome, Premier League, and various other SKUs will be coming in 2 years' time. And if you don't like it, don't buy it. But I have a feeling Fanatics, based on what they've been doing as well, they're going to be doing everything they can to come in with a big splash, which could really push growth in Europe if you have stuff happening with the Premier League players and teams the way you see it happening in, if there's a rip night and you have someone coming over, whether it's Kevin De Bruyne or something, I don't know, coming over and like having the crack with people at a rip night, like it changes things a bit, I think.
I think that does change things. Obviously, like, it's funny for us to be sitting here and we're talking about the Premier League license and all that stuff, and what would Panini do and all. Meanwhile, like last week, Topps announced they're gonna make an unlicensed NBA product and release it towards the end of this year, which means you're gonna have Wemby rookie autos. In a basketball product. And like, so if you're Panini, like soccer, like the Premier League is like small potatoes. Like you're just trying, to us, this is like kind of,
it's huge. That's what I'm saying.
Stuff. Yeah,
the Premier League, like you can't. I don't know. It's a bit mad. It is a bit mad. Like it's just, we have to just eat it. We have to just see how it goes and rock with it.
Yeah, we'll soon find out.
That's it.
Yeah, God, jeez, there's a lot to think about.
That's it. Like, it's just, to be honest, I think that's the thing. Like, the fact that Fanatics have those kind of relationships with the athletes that we just haven't seen prior to Fanatics entering. It's like, it's such an easy alley-oop kind of a thing. Like, I'm not a basketball man, but I'm going to say alley-oop. It's like, it's just, it was there to be done. It's like, hold on, you've never taken a photo with a player with their card. Are you stupid?
Yeah.
You've never given a player a box of cards to open and make them pretend they like it, or actually let them like it. Why not? Why has no one ever did this? Why have you always just given them a sheet of 20 million stickers for Wayne Bridge and say, here, sign all them, and then it's in your contract, go fuck yourself, versus having a bit of crack with them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right now, like they've done a good job in PR. However, actually, something we haven't touched on, Jason, that I would like to touch. They haven't just got the card license; they got the sticker license too.
Yes,
and the backlash of Euro stickers has led to a very, very, I would say, tense atmosphere between the sticker collectors, the hardcore sticker collectors,
Yeah.
and Fanatics. So like them, like the immediate reaction to them getting this was a negative one from the sticker people. They're like, "Oh, for God's sake, you fucked up the Euro album. Now you're coming in to do this sticker." Like the people are like, game's gone kind of thing. They're like, the stickers are done because there is as much as there are people like us who would have crossover from stickers to hobby, and that's how like the hobby is there. There are people that are still with the stickers, don't care about the cards, and
Yep.
it's like it seems like that. Like do you say that's a dying breed, or do you say right we have to tend to them? Like that's a 50-50. But like I do think they are their own thing. Can you cross pollinate and get some of them over to the hobby? Maybe, but in general, it's like you still have to look after them in a big way.
Yeah, I think the fact that they're mentioning stickers and trading card games, they obviously know like that you're when people think of if you do like a man on the street interview or whatever, it's going to be stickers and cards and match attacks, or in Panini's case, Adrenaline XL, what people are going to think of when they think of Premier League cards. If you say to someone, I collect Premier League cards, they're going to be like, you mean like stickers? And that's just like, we can all imagine a world where you're walking down the street and you say, I collect Premier League cards, and somebody goes, oh, like Topps Chrome. That's, but that's going to realistically, best case scenario, that's 5 out of 100 people. And that's fine. We can have a massively healthy industry off the back of that. But yeah, you're right. The sticker collectors did not like how the Euro thing went down. And not just, by the way, the unlicensed bits.
They didn't like the numbering at the back. They didn't.
Yeah.
I had people talk about the distribution. So that would have been maybe they could have always gone into their local X shop, Y shop, whatever, and now they can't. It's harder to find them stickers. I don't know. Or there's less of them around. I don't really know what it is, but there has, like, that's like, it's so funny because we're all focused on cards, but it's kind of like their brand image is being negatively affected by the stickers. It's almost like you should have left the stickers alone. You should have given that to Panini if possible. Because Panini ultimately are sticker people.
Yes.
Let's not forget that. Yeah. That's their heritage. Absolutely. So it's a weird one. It's a weird one. There's a lot to be do. I'm sure they've seen all the feedback, and it's a big undertaking to kind of step into the international soccer tournament sticker game. Like, think about that, Jason. You could get on a plane and go to any country in the world when the World Cup's on, and Panini has that shit locked in. There's stickers, and you'll find the stickers in the little shop on the corner shop, whatever. Yeah. That's not easy to replicate. Definitely not. If you think about it, if you buy the license,
a massive kind of long-term building of relationships at the manufacturer, distributor, retailer level.
Yeah, huge.
Yeah. And you look at like it's almost two different things, because you look at what Fanatics are doing on the hobby side of things, which is breakers,
shop
pre-ordering 10 cases of Finalist on the Topps website, all that kind of stuff.
Oh my goodness.
And then you look at the sticker thing. It's the opposite. It's not direct to consumer. It actually has to, because your stickers for the Euros or for the World Cup are going to be the only collectible product in 90% of the stores they're carried in.
And it's like people like
they're going to sell newspapers, cigarettes, and Panini stickers.
And if you're someone that buys Panini stickers, you're not someone that is going to go online and order a load of boxes of it and let it ship it to your house and then open it. Like, the experience is you walk into a shop, you pick them up and you go, for the most part.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
So we'll see. We'll await more developments of bated breath.
We'll wait and see. Like, people keep saying, "Oh, hopefully Panini keep the World Cup license and like it makes a real difference." Now, if that's every 4 years.
My argument would be that if you're Fanatics,
leave it with them.
Let Panini keep the World Cup license.
But what a coup and what a crown jewel it would be to announce that you have the World Cup, Jason. Especially, obviously, they have it in America, Panini. But like, imagine that. Like, that's like, if you're talking about being the big dog in the room, like, you want the World Cup. Here's one for you, and I probably know the answer, but here's one for you. Do you think another multi-billion-dollar company could acquire Panini and actually try to swing back? Because the Panini brand, like, Prism is Prism, etc., etc. Flawless is flawless. Like, do you think? Because like, the IP of those brands have a value even without all the licenses.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think, like in the case of the Premier League, say, I think the thing is that Fanatics were uniquely placed to enter this market because they have all their money, but they also have all the athlete relationships, the club relationships from the merchandise business. And like, speaking to soccer, like, we know that soccer does not operate, the PFA, the Players Association in England, is very different to the MLBPA in the Baseball Players Association in America. The way they work is different. What they're for is different. They're an association more than a union. All this kind of stuff. So like, you could come in with your billions of dollars, but until it's not just that, there are intangibles, and when you're sitting around with Fanatics and Tops, and you have your money and you have your Panini brand, you can both offer the same amount of money, or you can even offer more money. But Fanatics are going to say, listen, we want to sell these cards through our Fanatics Premier League club pages, Fanatics commerce pages. So there's a distribution channel. We can show you that like Manchester City are selling X amount of home shirts and X and Y amount of away shirts per year. And before they check out, they're going to be like, would you like a Man City team set and a box of Topps Chrome for an extra whatever? So I think I'm trying to think of a company that could do it, but I don't have one. But yeah, it's kind of a unique position. I think it's not just about the money, which is what makes it so difficult.
Yeah, no, that's it. They were just uniquely placed with the merchandise. You're right in that regard.
Yeah,
it's a bit mad.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, there you go. The Premier League is with Fanatics. It's with Topps. We're getting Topps Chrome and various other brands, one would imagine. I don't personally think that Panini did a great job with the Premier League license. So, and we always criticize that as a Premier League license issue versus the manufacturing issue. But like, Topps and Fanatics have an opportunity to take that Premier League license and make it a juggernaut. Whether or not they do or not is its own thing. But I think the potential, and like they have so many legends signed up that I think it would be fairly easy to create a rich product. I think.
I agree, and like again, a lot of my kind of not criticism, they're not even criticisms, skepticisms.
Yeah,
skepticism around this stuff is actually nothing to do with Fanatics versus Panini or Topps Chrome versus Premier League Prism specifically. It's just kind of the principle of the thing. I just don't think monopolies are good.
Yeah, it's like every time they get another license, it is closer and closer to a monopoly, a true monopoly.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I understand.
And I don't think for people who are interested in growing the soccer hobby, like in an ideal world, it would not be a monopoly that you're kind of offering people. Now, if you might say that in effect, it may actually be that a Fanatics monopoly is better
to grow it,
because we weren't that, what we're Panini doing is kind of the implication there. It's not, so it's like, yeah, I understand that in practice, a Fanatics kind of control and dominance of the soccer card market and all of the efforts they're going to put in to grow that might actually end up being much more effective than multiple companies working against each other would be.
Yep.
So I agree on that, but just there's also the principle of it, which is like, we won't know that until what incentive will they have until it's too late. Yeah.
I think, like, to be honest, I think for Ireland and even the UK, I think the Premier League license is the key to grow it. And I think that Panini almost had like it down on like a lot. It was locked away to a degree. I think.
Yeah.
Like even when we sell stuff, like they have a lot of SKUs that are way too similar, which is something that Topps used to do, and they kind of got rid of it with like flagship, first edition, light chrome, no hobby chrome, all that sort of stuff. You'd have Prism Choice, Prism Retail, Prism Breakaway. People didn't understand it. Do you know what I mean? If you're a casual, like we have people on the website all the time buying stuff and being like, what is the difference between Breakaway and Choice? And they're like, I'm kind of confused. Like, is this good? What's hobby? What's retail? What can you hit in retail? Hobby International? What can you hit in that? Like that's confusion isn't good for new people joining.
Yeah.
So Topps have an opportunity to create kind of a cleaner cut hobby release that's relatively rich. And we've seen what they're able to do with retail, getting it into game in the UK. Like if you have a Premier League box there, Premier League Match Attacks is its own thing. That's going to be crazy. Yeah. When it happens, because it just is, especially over here in Ireland. But yeah, I think it's an opportunity to kind of create a SKU or a few SKUs that could actually get people that are just interested in Premier League able to spend a few £100 on a box, 100, 200, and really enter the hobby in a way that they probably didn't prior.
Speaking of confusion as to what products are called and all that stuff, do you remember a while ago we were talking about changing the name of flagship to something?
Yes.
Somebody got in touch and said that in baseball, it's Series 1 and Series 2.
That confuses me as well, but...
So it's not... Yeah, I mean, that is in itself confusing, but there is like an addendum to the name. It's like Topps Baseball Series 1, 2024, whatever, you know.
But like, is Series 1 is flagship?
Series 1 is flagship, yeah, but then there's
Is
also Series 2, also flagship.
Yeah, that makes no sense. That to me just sounds like first edition, second edition. Like, what's the difference between the two of those releases? I
Different
assume
checklists.
that's what I'm assuming. But like, is it like, you know, maybe like Mega Cracks back in the day had 3 editions, and the third edition you could get Messi because he kind of was like an added in player during the season. Does that happen in baseball? Is it like Series 2 has all these players we missed at the start of the season, now we can add them in, or people that just made it to the big leagues, or you know, transferred, or I don't understand baseball to be able to explain that, but that doesn't help. They still
Well, I
need
can
a
show you
name.
here. It says, as part 2 of the flagship MLB product, 2023 Top Series 2 Baseball builds on Series 1 while adding new rookies, inserts, and more to collect. Hobby boxes again promise 1 autograph or relic, and the Hobby Jumbo HCA boxes have 1 relic, 1 autograph, and 1 manufactured relic.
Series 1, Series 2, kind of splitting stuff up in a way that allows them to kind of catch people halfway through the season if they kind of had missed someone in the checklist is a good idea, fundamentally. I do not know how the MLB can have 2 different flagship products. Like, how many players are there? I don't know. Am I ignorant? Maybe I am.
A lot, I think.
But there is a lot, isn't there?
Yeah.
This is not NBA, my big man. But yeah, I don't know.
No.
That's still confusing. Like, that's not as confusing because there is a name to
No,
it.
that's what I'm saying. We're approaching something not confusing, but we're still in kind of
Top
confusion
UCC
territory.
Champions League. They need to fix that. But we'll get in touch, Jason. At the national, we'll run around and we'll find the right people and say, "Excuse me, what are you doing?" And don't do that with the Premier League. By the way, if you're going to do a paper product for the Premier League, which I assume they will, give it a name. Give it a real name. Now's your opportunity to name it. Don't just call it Premier League Tops. Don't do it. Don't do it. Please
don't do it. Please
don't do it. Just stop. Just give it a name, please.
Sitting here talking about Panini and the good old days and all that, just wanted to mention that Donruss has been delayed until Wednesday, May 15th. There was a lot
Some people
of
have it in
confusion
hand.
about that. Yeah.
But others don't. 15th, yeah, we spent so long kind of praising that checklist, and that's all. I think, as we said, that's what Panini need to do is lean into what they have, what they can do. But yeah, 15th it seems to be the release date for that. 15th is going to be a big day.
It's gone back to coming soon. That was when the confusion started.
Oh, I had a timer and it was all sorts.
Steel City Collectibles post this.
Must be nice.
And then GTS, who gave us the checklist on their website,
cleared it up,
put out this tweet. So
wonderful. I won't miss those big chunky boxes. That's in a world where Panini fully die. Like the Donruss boxes is a big chunky, and the Prisms are big chunky boys.
Yeah, there's a lot of cards. Mosaic. A box Mosaic is one of the most dense objects known to mankind. It's like
hard to ship. I just mean from a shipping point of view, it'll be nice to just ship some flat chrome, Topps chrome. That's an efficient way of doing it.
Yeah, flatten those out.
Although I am convinced the blocks helped the price of those products, because I think a lot of people that had them couldn't sell them because they didn't have a freight shipping container to be able to get a few boxes of Donruss across a river.
Yeah.
Or down the road even. So
decreasing the mobility of the items themselves
actually helped preserve the price, because a lot of people looking at a big box. I don't even have a box near a big huge box of Prism, and they're going, you know what, I'll just open it. I don't have a box for that. Like, I'll just open it, and then that helped the print run get eaten into. That's my belief. And I don't think it was purposely done strategically. I think it was just a consequence of what they had done.
The law of unintended consequences.
That's right.
Just on the Premier League, just one more thing is that we have heard, Enzo, through our various travels in the hobby, that the Premier League are not the easiest licensor to deal with. Whether it be player images, whether it be checklist approval, all that stuff.
3 p.m. cut-offs or blinds or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, blackouts in the
UK. Yeah, the blackouts. UK. I hate them because they catch us. Yeah. That's what upsets me. I'm not in the UK.
No, there's a Premier League game on a Saturday on Premier Sports.
Yeah, but not always.
Not always, no.
What I'm saying is, like, if I want to, there's games I can't watch because of the blackout.
Yes, that's right.
That's what I'm saying. Upset.
Anyway, so the Premier League are not necessarily the easiest organization to deal with, and it'll be very interesting, potentially extremely embarrassing for Panini if Fanatics are able to waltz in and get a tune out of the Premier League, where Panini for years were kind of hiding behind, the so-called difficulty of the Premier League. So let's see.
I just think like Fanatics do seem to get on well. I think it's like they bring so much money to the table, I think is what it is. That like when Fanatics are visiting the office, it's like, hello, Fanatics. Hello, Mr. Rubin. How are you? And even the players are like, you are brilliant. Because ultimately they're giving back. That's it. Like they're providing value to the players and to the organization. So I don't think the Premier League will be. I think we're going to see some shit, Jason. That's all I can say.
All right.
Tosin will get a card again
relatively soon. But first, what are your thoughts on the final of the Champions League being Borussia Dortmund versus Real Madrid?
It's Jude's to lose. What a man! What a statement! What a player! What a time!
Yeah. And either way, it's a win for Jude.
That's it. That's right. Either way, it's a win for Borussia Dortmund, who apparently have a 25 million bonus if Jude was to win the Champions League.
Oh wow!
They have a 20. If they win the final, UEFA give them 20 million. If they lose the final, Real Madrid give them 25 million.
That seems like there might be some sort of sporting integrity question.
Yeah, I mean, for the sake of 5 million, I think they want that sweet trophy because I'm sure there's lots of money to be made on the merchandise of selling you're winning the Champions League.
Certainly a few boxes of BVB vernissage to be sold.
Oh, absolutely, Jason. We have that on our website as soon as it comes in sometime in the next 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, that's it's. I mean, here's the thing: Real Madrid fundamentally up front have been toothless all season. They're missing an actual striker. They just look a bit flat in the front, but the vibes are just getting the job done, and that's it. That's all that can be said. Yes. There was a lot wrong with that game yesterday, especially at the very, very end. Tuchel is not a wonderful manager. He's just a bit of a flukester. Should have never taken off Harry Kane. But I think Harry Kane had a bit of an injury. I think, whatever. But
carrying a knock.
To be honest, Jason, if Borussia Dortmund, this is what I'll say. If Borussia Dortmund can play the final the same way they played the last few rounds, meaning if their defensive block is as good as it has been, I don't think Real Madrid are breaking it because I don't think they really have crazy penetration through a low block. Like they do look flat. If you're a centre back, you'd be delighted playing against Real Madrid at the moment. If you're a full back, you're freaking out. If you're a centre back, I think you're happy enough because there isn't someone terrorising you up front. It's literally Jude's a bit
until he brings on Joselu in the 85th minute and he scores 2 goals.
But that shouldn't happen. That's shocking. What I'm saying is, I think like Real Madrid. I assume Real Madrid will win, but I do think it's one of the better chances that BVB have of winning it. To be honest.
Yes, I think. Well, yeah. I mean, they
Jadon Sancho. This is so funny. What is going on?
Sancho. Yeah, listen to this, right?
Please.
Jadon Sancho became the first player to complete 25 plus take-ons in the knockout rounds of the Champions League in 23-24. He was playing the other night against PSG. He was like just going around people for fun. Yeah. What is happening?
I was happy when he got pulled off though, because he was kind of. It's like this is the semi-final. Stop losing the ball. You fucking
yeah.
There was a bit of that, and the manager said, "Actually, come off. We're putting on."
He was Neymaring it a little bit.
Yeah, he was doing a bit too much. But yeah, no, I think it's going to be an interesting final. I'm happy it's not an all-German affair. You'd imagine Real Madrid. Like, I think Real Madrid could underestimate BVB the same way everyone else has. You know, I think it's hard not to. When you look at that final, I don't care who you are. If you're Real Madrid with all that heritage, it's very hard to not go, oh, this one should be easy. This one should be grand. Like, just show up, boys. Like that could be the feeling because it's only Dortmund is kind of the vibe, you know. So I honestly think they might underestimate them, but obviously you could also say they don't play around when it's a Champions League final. They'll handle it. But if Dortmund defend, because I think Real Madrid have been most dangerous on counter-attacks. Now, I do think it's written, Jason, for a Jude Bellingham winner, and what a player, what a moment kind of thing in Wembley against Dortmund. And I don't know if he does this or he says he has the respect to say, I'm not going to celebrate a Champions League final. He's thinking, I'll get another Champions League final in my career. I'm doing fine. But you have to give a lot of credit to Real Madrid and what they've done. The likes of Modric and Kroos, the fact that they're in another final is insane. Just adding to their legacy, and obviously Don Carlo as well. God bless him. I want Real Madrid to win, even though I also hate them stacking up Champions League wins like it's not like they're Fanatics taking on licenses.
I was going to say, I mean, it's an interesting position for Vinny Jr. because he's looking at Mbappe over the last few games of the Champions League coming in to Real Madrid, but he's probably like if you're Vinny Jr., you're going like, I'm as good as this bloke. You know, be interested to see how they get on next season.
I would love nothing more than for Real Madrid to use Mbappe as a right winger. Do you know what I mean? Like, just literally for your first season, listen, shut your mouth. You're at Real Madrid. You're not as big as you think you are. We just won the Champions League. You spent the last 7 years dreaming of winning it. Shut the fuck up. We won it without a striker, and the striker we used was Joselu. So shut up. You're on the right wing. Hendricks coming in, or we're putting a fucking different big man, maybe Osimhen or something up front. Vinny's on the left. Rodrigo's going to be a player we kind of chuck on and chuck off. He's the one getting the short end of the stick. And I'd love to see that. I'd love to see Vinny on the left, Mbappe on the right. But I do think Mbappe's ego and his everything that he wants to be on the left. Yeah, but it doesn't make sense to put him on the left, especially if you have Vinny. It doesn't make any sense. And he's so good. He's good on the right. He's just not going to score as much. He'll be creating more and destroying people on the right. I would love to see it, but I don't know if we will. I don't want to see him as a striker, by the way.
No, nobody wants that.
No.
Just to give Hosselu some more attention.
Flowers.
Did
you find his rookie? Did you find his rookie?
I didn't. No. I didn't. Should have done.
That's a bit of you. That's a bit of you going, I found his rookie. And it's actually this. I actually bought one.
I actually bought two.
Fucking, it's a 1-on-1 parallel from his days at Granada or something. Stoke, yeah. Who knows?
So Richard Jolly, who's a journalist, I guess, that posts some really good stats sometimes, tweeted that Hosselu has now scored more goals in Champions League finals than he scored at the Britannia Stadium when he was playing there in semi-finals when he was played at Stoke. But his appearance for Real Madrid on the 30th of April meant that from the 2015-16 Stoke squad, people from the 2015-16 Stoke squad have now played in the semi-finals of Champions League in 2004, 2005, 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011, 2013, 2019, and 2024. Isn't that interesting?
That's shocking.
So, once again, I would just leave people on. Development in football is not linear. You play for Stoke in 2015-16. It basically means nothing about where your career is going to go.
Anything could happen.
Anything could happen, and it usually does.
Wow. That's a good note, Jason. I don't want to touch on that late offside, but that was a disgraceful refereeing situation. But it is what
horrible ref. What have the last 5 years of football refereeing been about if not to let that play on?
Yeah, shocking.
What is even the point?
Yeah, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Oh, shout out to Fonzo Davies for scoring an absolute cracker at the Bernabeu. Bless him.
Yes, maybe he'd be scoring more crackers there next season. We'll see where he moves.
Ooh. Look at that.
All right. We're back on Tuesday for episode 223. Have a great weekend, everyone, and we'll
enjoy
see
the sun if you're in a sunny place. There you go.